There's no chance you hadn't clicked on this video without a general assumption of its content, that it was speaking directly about you or the environment around you. You see, the modern world we live in is one full of degeneracy. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but I feel as if a greater emphasis may be necessary. Depression rates are steadily increasing, divorce rates are incredibly high, degeneracy runs rampant in the streets, not only in the form of substance abuse, but also in acts of lust. Tension between gender rips at the fabric of what a woman or a man even is. Dreams of superficial fame send people to great lengths to drastically upscale their personalities and at times even completely shift them to fit under a certain demographic in a desperate attempt to stay trending. Economic failures causing the working class to become more poor, whilst gigantic corporations buy out all smaller companies to decrease competition. And what principle is the younger generation meant to inherit? I would definitely agree that the loss of power that the church had over society played a contributing factor towards the decline of morals and general understanding of our roles as humans. You see, the problem I have with atheism is that it's essentially an empty hole. Atheism tells you that this is bad, but not why. Take for example an atheist telling you that you shouldn't have an affair. He may tell you that it's unfair to the other person, but this reasoning is invalid as atheism has no moral compass and therefore cannot accurately assign justice to any particular act. The closest it can go is if you were to apply the principle to yourself. It's unfair to have an affair because it would hurt your feelings if your partner had an affair. However, even then, this method of thinking is flawed. What if you told someone with a death wish that they shouldn't kill because they wouldn't like to be killed? We encounter a hypocrisy in the atheist way of thinking, morally at least. Similarly, take the uneducated theist. If you were to ask him, why shouldn't you have an affair, he would most likely answer the same way as the atheist, but mention something about God saying it's bad. A theist would tell you that an affair is wrong because during the marriage ceremony, you made a covenant with God that you would stay loyal to each other, emotionally and intimately. In summary, the atheist way of determining morality relies too heavily on emotion, which are easily manipulated and can have sudden changes, whilst theism focuses on rational conclusions based off of a belief in spiritual judgment and punishment for our actions. In practice, when atheism surges within a society, older, traditional values are abandoned. Atheism in the mainstream causes even theists to lose track of their own belief due to the fact that humans are social beings that inherently learn through the environment around us. We are shaped by what we hear from others and our experiences. If the majority of aspects in your life are atheist, you are likely to soak in these ideas like a sponge. For example, I have seen these devastating effects in many Christians I met, who for example didn't know that Jesus was even God, or due to lack of knowledge committed major heresies. With no powerful institution that is grounded in its belief, humanity is unable to establish a clear line of morality, and therefore there is a progressive change in what is considered the norm. The key reason why I believe the church is such a good institution is because it's rooted. God has given us final rules for humans to follow through Moses and previous prophets and finally through Jesus. The difference with atheism and liberalism is the fact that they take words such as democracy, freedom and justice and try to gratify their meaning through action first and not principle. Protest and then try to find out what we actually mean. We saw this clearly within the progress of gay rights, drag rights and now trans rights. We also saw this with the change in stances on abortion and euthanasia, now on open relationships and toxic fitness. The most perfect example of this is the difference between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. The differences in opinion are primarily fueled by the community and environment around them. Eastern European countries have their entire cultures centered around faith and religion, being stitched into their upbringing, making it likely to adopt these stationary fundamentals rather than experiment with secular ideals. However, with that said, there is also the issue of the applications of atheist morals onto a person individually rather than societally. We in society are told that marriages are overrated, and society has normalized the sick hookup culture that destroys love. Love is described as toxic, overrated, and we focus on making our bodies feel good rather than pleasing the soul. Divorce is seen as normal and acceptable, and we have songs feeding and boosting this idea that simple sex is greater than searching for love, because apparently love always fails. The issue with having sex and developing emotional feelings with somebody after already doing the deed is that you haven't had the chance to truly learn about the person. You've blocked your mind only to observe them with perversion, which changes the way you will operate with the person once you actually do develop an emotional connection. You haven't had the experience of being in an emotional relationship, and due to this, it doesn't last long. What I'm trying to say is, although you should abstain from any sexual encounters before marriage, if you are to have sex, only do it if you're in a relationship with them. And if you enter into a relationship with somebody, wait as long as you can before having sex to ensure that you build an emotional connection with the actual person, not their body. So get used to their habits and flaws, etc. Furthermore, what type of message does atheism send to anybody? You're simply an animal that feels, and you serve zero purpose, numbers are useless in the grand scheme of the cosmos, and your death has absolutely zero significance. Every achievement and soul-crushing defeat has been for nothing. Your actions have no meaning, and love is simply a chemical reaction for mating. On the other hand, Christianity tells us we are loved, unique beings with a soul made in the image of God and designed intelligently to love and create. Another issue is with the whole secular sphere of the self-improvement niche. Many of these self-improvement channels are religious, but what I don't quite get is how you can teach effective self-improvement and completely ignore the spiritual aspect. Sure, meditation and all that are good, but where did you get these morals from? How are you able to tell that sleeping around is bad? With most of these communities, I observe that apparently what makes somebody a true man is this aggressiveness. The being dangerous and angry all the time is man. It seems to me that in order to cope with decreasing levels of testosterone, we rely on conspiracy theories on masculinity made up in the 50s that wearing pink automatically makes you gay, or if you sit whilst peeing it will shrink your balls, rather than actually searching for what true masculinity is. Whilst there is an element of aggressiveness and anger within masculinity, it is misdirect. Your number one role as a man is to protect. Protect women, protect children, protect your nation, and protect nature. Additionally, if we take a look at this principle that a man must be the provider in the relationship, we can see that it's most likely from when men used to go out and hunt for food. Now, whilst this is partially true, we forget that the women would also be the providers of fruit and other resources, making this idea that the man is the sole provider obsolete. If the woman is to take care of and raise the kids, who's going to teach them masculine traits? Surely children need to learn masculinity from their father rather from their mother. In my humble opinion, I believe that men and women serve different roles within marriage towards children. The husband's role is to raise and discipline the child, teach him his morals and the basis of ethics he should stand on, whilst the wife teaches the child empathy, compassion, and teaches them how to care. Overall, my advice for anybody trapped in modern society is the same as always. I want you to find God, and I want you to be loyal to him, and I want you to make him proud. And even when there are issues, you never lose faith. If you guys have any questions or video suggestions, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Grace be with you all.